2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sat alone in his tent, surrounded by war, betrayal, and plague, and he wrote himself a letter that would outlive empires. He wasn't writing for us. He was writing to survive his own mind. That letter became a book. That book became a weapon against suffering. And today, you're about to inherit it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca faced exile, illness, slavery, and death itself, without breaking. And you'll learn how to use the same 10 principles, starting today, to stop reacting to your life and start commanding it. Stay till the end. Principle number 7 is the one most people discover far too late in life. Welcome back to Wisdom of Humanity, the home for timeless philosophy, mental resilience, and the ancient wisdom that modern life forgot to teach you. If you're new here, this is a place to slow down, think clearly, and rebuild your inner strength, one principle at a time. Let's begin. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It isn't about being cold, distant, or indifferent to life. It's the opposite. It's about feeling everything fully. Grief, ambition, love, fear, and still choosing deliberately how you respond. The Stoics believed something radical for their time, and honestly, still radical for ours. You are not disturbed by events. You are disturbed by your opinion of events. Think about that for a second. The traffic jam doesn't make you angry. Your judgment about the traffic jam does. The harsh email from your boss doesn't ruin your day. Your interpretation of it does. This single idea has helped people survive concentration camps, build empires, and rebuild their lives after total collapse. Today, we're breaking down 10 Stoic principles drawn directly from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, Epictetus's Enchiridion, and Seneca's letters that you can start applying within the next hour. Let's start with the foundation everything else is built on, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus began his entire philosophy with one dividing line. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your health, other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, what happened to you yesterday, not up to you. Your judgments, your effort, your reactions, your character, entirely up to you. Picture a man stuck in traffic, gripping the wheel, furious, yelling at cars that can't hear him. He is spending real energy trying to control something that was never his to control. Now picture that same man, in the same traffic, breathing slowly, using the time to think, to listen to something meaningful, to simply be. Same external event. Two completely different internal worlds. That's the entire philosophy in one image. Here's your first practical step. Today, when something upsets you, pause and ask one question. Is this actually within my control? If it isn't, let it go. Not because you don't care, because caring about the wrong things is what's been draining you. Amor fati, love your fate. This next one sounds almost impossible at first. The Stoics didn't just accept hardship. They tried to love it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a good person doesn't merely endure whatever happens. They embrace it, as if they had chosen it themselves. Imagine losing your job unexpectedly. Most people spiral, shame, panic, self-pity. But what if instead you treated it as material, as something fate handed you specifically to build a stronger version of you? This isn't toxic positivity. The Stoics weren't pretending pain doesn't hurt. They were refusing to let pain be wasted. Every setback you've had, the breakup, the failure, the rejection, wasn't proof you're behind in life. It was raw material. The only question is whether you use it or ignore it. Memento mori, remember you will die. This is where Stoicism gets uncomfortable and where it becomes most powerful. Roman generals, after their greatest military victories, would have a servant walk behind them during the parade, whispering one phrase into their ear over and over: remember, you will die. Not to depress them, to keep them humble, to keep them present. Marcus Aurelius kept a version of this thought running constantly, that he could leave this life at any moment, and that this fact should shape every decision he made right now. Here's a question worth sitting with. If you knew you had 1 year left, would you still be scrolling past the people you love without really seeing them? Would you still be postponing the conversation, the apology, the dream? Death isn't the Stoics' enemy. Wasted time is. The view from above. Marcus Aurelius had a mental exercise he returned to whenever life felt overwhelming. He imagined rising above the earth, watching armies march, cities rise and fall. Entire civilizations blur into specks of dust across centuries. From that height, the argument you had this morning stops feeling so enormous. Try it right now. Whatever is stressing you today, zoom out. Not to dismiss it, but to place it correctly. In 100 years, will this matter? In 1,000? This isn't about making your problems feel small and worthless. It's about making you feel large enough to hold them. Negative visualization. Here's a principle that sounds pessimistic on the surface, but is actually one of the most effective gratitude tools ever devised. Seneca advised imagining loss before it happens, picturing your home burned down, your position stripped away, your loved ones gone, not to invite despair, but to rehearse it so that when hardship does arrive, you aren't shattered by surprise. And there's a second gift hidden inside this exercise. It makes you grateful for what you already have, right now, while you still have it. Most people only appreciate their health after illness, their job after losing it, their family after distance. The Stoics trained themselves to feel that appreciation in advance, while it still counts. Virtue is the only true good. For the Stoics, wealth, health, reputation, and pleasure were not evil, but they were not the goal either. They called these things indifference, nice to have, never worth compromising your character for. The only true good, they argued, was virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Here's why this matters practically. When your sense of worth is built on money, status, or approval, it's fragile, because all of those can be taken from you tomorrow. But your integrity, your discipline, your courage, no one can repossess that. Build your identity on what cannot be taken. That's not idealism. That's the most practical risk management there is. The obstacle is the way. And here's the one I told you about at the start, the principle most people don't discover until they're forced to, usually in their darkest moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote it almost like an engineering principle. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Fire doesn't destroy a blacksmith's forge. It's the entire mechanism. The obstacle isn't separate from the path. It is the path. Think about the hardest year of your life. Chances are it's also the year you grew the most. Not despite the difficulty, because of it. So next time something blocks you, a rejection, a failure, an injury, ask a different question than most people ask. Not, why is this happening to me? Ask instead, what does this force me to build that I wouldn't have built otherwise? You are what you repeatedly do. The Stoics didn't believe character was fixed. They believed it was trained, like a muscle, through daily repetition. Epictetus taught his students to treat every single choice, no matter how small, as practice for who they were becoming. Choose the harder truth over the easy lie enough times, and you become an honest person. Choose comfort over discipline enough times, and you become a person ruled by comfort. There is no single moment that defines your character. There's only the pattern. So the question isn't, am I a disciplined person? It's, what did I choose in the last hour? And what does that choice make more likely tomorrow? Other people's opinions are not your business. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, and he was still criticized, mocked, and doubted constantly. His response wasn't to silence the critics. It was to stop needing their approval. He reminded himself again and again that trying to control what other people think of you is like trying to control the weather. You can influence it slightly. You can never command it. Most anxiety in modern life isn't really about the event itself. It's about how the event will be perceived. The Stoics offer a way out. Focus entirely on whether your action was right. Let the audience think whatever they're going to think. That was never your department. Time is the only currency you cannot earn back. Seneca wrote something that still cuts deep today. People are careful guarding their money, their property, their possessions, but they hand over their time to anyone who asks for it, as if it were worthless. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose a house and rebuild it. You will never get back a single hour of your life once it's spent. So here's the final, hardest question of this video. Where is your time actually going right now? Not where you think it's going, where it's actually going. Because that, more than anything you say you value, is the truest measure of what you actually value. None of these 10 principles are complicated. That's not an accident. The Stoics deliberately built a philosophy simple enough to remember in the middle of a crisis, because that's exactly when you need it. You don't need to master all 10 today. Pick one, just one. Live with it this week. Let it change how you respond the next time life tests you, because it will. Marcus Aurelius never knew his private journal would still be guiding strangers. 2,000 years later, he wrote it just to survive his own days. Maybe that's the real lesson. You don't need to change the world to practice this. You just need to change how you meet the next hour. If even one of these 10 principles hit you differently today, tell me which one in the comments. I read every single one, and honestly, that's how I find the topics for future videos. If this gave you even 5 minutes of clarity, that's exactly what this channel exists for. So consider subscribing to Wisdom of Humanity, because we go deeper into this philosophy every week. And if you know someone carrying a weight right now that they haven't put down, send them this video. Sometimes the right words just need to reach the right person at the right time. Until next time, stay grounded, stay disciplined, and remember, the obstacle is the way.